There we go. See, I was a professional that time, and I put the thing up.
I like it, Brad. Again, we have to be thinking about this in terms of how people consume media these days. They need to see that really professionally done title card. That really
Absolutely professionally done.
It sets the mood. We're telling the audience subconsciously that you're about to enter into a dreamlike state. Right?
Sure. You know those marketing teams that charge like tens of thousands of dollars for like basically, Photoshop scribbles, but they have like 50 million versions of them, so they charge you whenever. It wasn't that. I just made it in about 45 seconds.
Good. I was going to say
it was cheaper. Same effect, basically.
Same effect,
but a lot cheaper.
Yes.
Which is good since we don't have a budget.
We don't, but you know what? That Arby's sponsorship is coming in.
There's always a chance.
There's always a chance. There's always a chance. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Brad, as always, for being here with me and turning on the light so people can watch us talk and ramble.
Anytime. So it's always a good time to have a chat.
It's a great time. It's a midweek check-in, right? That's really what it is. It's like,
exactly.
Are we going to get through the rest of this week?
You never know these days.
You never know.
You certainly hope so, though.
You certainly hope so. Brad, I want to ask you a personal question because I know your life's changed a little bit recently.
Sure.
Your child has gone from being with you at home for most of the time to now going back to school.
Oh, yes. Finally.
Brad, let me live vicariously through. I love my child. I love both of my children. It's great having children in the house. It's great. This is a disclaimer. I do not want to put my children or any other children at risk. But boy, I envy your country and your province's ability to send children to school.
It's definitely a nice edge. It could change anytime. But right now, I'm very happy that it's happening. Although it does come with some extra aggravations and stuff. But
sure, yes.
Teaching a 5-year-old mask protocols and things is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. But it gives me a little bit of freedom during the day, and that's worth a lot of aggravation up front.
Yeah, just a little bit of freedom. A little bit of freedom. Oh gosh, Brad. Yeah, I when you'd said that to me, it's like, oh yeah, my kid's going to school. My kid's not going to be around. I was like, I cannot picture what that feels like. Right.
I was starting to forget what it was like.
Mm-hmm.
He had a 7-month summer vacation at the end of last year, basically, and then they started school up, and then Christmas vacation came. Like, instead of a 2-week Christmas vacation, let's do like maybe a month and a half. Like, okay, great. But then it's back, so it's I wouldn't say great, but it's on. It's better than it could be. Yeah. I optimistically okay-ish. I don't know. It's complicated.
It's complicated.
But right now it's good-ish.
Brad, all I see is in the chat, Team Brad is here, which is always positive. The Team Brad champion Anna is definitely, as always, Brad, whatever you're saying, she's right there with you.
Excellent. Yeah, good to have Anna on my side.
Yes, very, very good to have Anna.
She's a good one. So, Kellen, I have some questions for you.
I have some questions for you.
Okay. Would you like to start, or would you like a question?
No, please. My question was just more saying, hey, how's it going not having a kid in the house? So
Sure. So, Kellen, I have a very serious question to start.
Are we starting serious?
It's super serious. I need you to be absolutely honest with me right now. Okay. Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
I am not.
Inventor of Bitcoin.
I am not the inventor. The alleged.
I mean, it could be a bunch of people. It could be who knows who it is. But no, you're claiming not to be that person.
I am claiming. My lawyers have instructed me.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Now
I see. That is a little suspicious. I'm not gonna lie.
I am telling you that my team of lawyers are telling me right now that it is not appropriate for me to comment positively or negatively that I am or have ever been the inventor of said Bitcoin.
Okay, well that's disappointing because I was hoping I would have an in. Now that apparently there's a hunt on for his like
So
Bitcoin stash, that people are starting to think that there's hidden messages in like the original blocks of Bitcoin that could lead to this giant stash of Bitcoin, which right now could be worth a lot of money.
A lot of money. Yeah, yeah.
Like they're projecting like it could be anywhere up to like 1 million Bitcoin. And it's like at like 50 or $60,000 right now per Bitcoin. It's pretty volatile. It's kind of all over the place, but it's like it's in that ballpark right now.
Definitely in that boat.
That would be a lot of money.
That would be a lot of money. Now that's the question, Brad, is if you find the treasure trove of that Bitcoin, do you sell or do you hold on to it?
I would probably sell a large chunk of it.
Right? I would
and then keep some of it because like why not at that point? There's no
if you've got it, suddenly why not hold on to it, like sell 75% of it and then 25% is just fun money and see where it goes, right?
Right. You know, keep a few dozen millions, you know, make life easy.
That's what wealth is. People think wealth is money. No, wealth is not money. Wealth is the ability to say the money will never stop, right? That's the investments. That's
like I could do whatever I want now and I don't have to worry that I'll ever run out of money. But that's not you. That's sad. Unfortunate.
Excuse me, Brad. I never said it was or wasn't me.
Fair.
I simply said that my lawyers had asked me and suggested that, especially in public forums like this, not to confirm nor deny, which is my right as an American. I have
public forums. There's 4 people watching. You're at very high legal risk of getting discovered on this massively popular YouTube. Whatever you would.
Brad, here's the thing: things don't die on the internet, as we are going to learn at some point on the show. We're going to learn just how hard it is to kill an idea on the internet.
It's very hard. I found some disturbing things.
Brad,
it should make for good comedy.
It should be good. I spent a good chunk of time this week trying to find your first tweet. It was not easy to go into Twitter and to create an advanced search and look for your very, very first tweet. But I spent some time and I again scrolling through just right around like 2016 feels like there's a lot that you have to say. I feel like most of our Twitter timelines are fairly similar in terms of there's a video game release and then we're both commenting on it and then we go different ways. And then there's another video game release and we comment on it and then we go different ways. So
that seems about accurate for my Twitter activity, at least for the last bunch of years. Yeah. What was my first tweet? Did you get there? I don't remember. I don't remember.
That's the thing. There used to be, I think, before Twitter changed its API, they used to be really easy search engines to just go, boom, I want to find it. But once Twitter started saying, like, all right, well, after 3,000 tweets, we either start archiving or deleting. At that point, it made it a little harder to kind of pull a proxy to report to be able to find your first tweet. So.
If it's anything like other social network things, it's probably, what the hell am I supposed to use Twitter for? That's probably my first tweet. Something might be worded differently, but
what is
something along those lines.
For? Yes. Yeah. Brad, I've got a myriad of questions for you tonight.
Okay, excellent.
Where do you want to start? Are you in a silly mood? Are you in a heady mood? You know, what sort of mood are you in?
Let's go silly.
Silly.
Let's get some sillies.
Brad, you're familiar with the series Star Trek, correct?
I've heard of the Star Trek, yes.
The Star Trek, yes. And there is in Star Trek an amazing element of Star Trek that often gets completely blown away that the show really should completely focus on.
Okay.
And that is the holodeck.
Sure.
That sure we can travel through the stars, we've met other people, but we can create a holographic reality that, as we learn in Next Generation, can actually become sentient and then leave the holodeck and go and have their own time.
Sure. If there's a problem with the equipment, everything comes alive. How safe. What a safe thing to put on a spaceship.
Here is my question for you, Brad. Brad, what is your holodeck program? If you're walking in the holodeck, what is your holodeck program? And again, Brad, remember, we don't have that Arby's money. We don't have that Burger King money. You can get as real as you want, Brad.
That's tricky. It really is tricky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good. It's going to be porn.
It's got to be.
Clearly, there's going to be some porn involved.
Maybe not all porn, but porn.
Not all. I mean, not all of it.
At
A
least
quiet reading nook in the corner, where I could just escape. I get far enough into the corner of the room that it just kills all the other sound. So it's
just all right. I don't want to fight the conquistadors right now. I just need to go into the porn corner and just be quiet for a second, and everyone's very relaxed and very calm. And
exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It might surprise you, Kellen, but I'm not great at hypothetical things and fanciful things. It's hard for me to process those kinds. There's too many variables that I can't figure out, and therefore it just sort of stalls my brain.
Well, let's do this, Brad. I happen to be a holodeck designer. I can help design a program for you.
Perfect.
Right? So, Brad, usually the first thing we're talking about when we're walking to a holodeck is: are you interested in a pleasant experience, or are you interested in an unpleasant experience? Because there are a lot of people who go into holodecks who are actually seeking an unpleasant reality.
Sure. I would say pleasant. I would go more.
Okay, we're going with pleasant. Very nice. Brad, are you interested in something that is based in history, or are you interested in something that's based in fantasy?
Oh, fantasy.
And again, we can blend those too. If you wanted to kill John Wilkes Booth, you could. That could be your holodeck program, right?
Sure.
Also, Brad, I just want to be very, very clear. There is a separate conversation in the chat that is all about which one of us, which people in the chat are our best friends, or are we best friends with, and I'm enjoying it. This is nice.
It's an interesting. I'm sort of catching it in the corner of my eye for now. It's very interesting.
What's going on with this? What's going on with this? I think BJ started it. So
the reason I'm here is to understand you, my arch nemesis.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't know why everyone else is here talking about best friends.
Everyone's bothering us with this stuff. So you want to have a pleasant, fantasy, all right? So in this fantasy, are we talking about what sort of fantasy elements do we want to have kind of here? Are we talking, do you want to have superpowers? Do you want to have sort of mystical sort of powers? What sort of fantasy are we interested in creating? Or
I could go for some superpowers. That would be fun.
Okay, so it's about power. Again, I've been reading a lot of Foucault lately. I've been reading this in the larger sort of sense of what power is when it comes to sexuality. So when I think about you want to be a superhero, we're instantly going there.
Sure.
So superhero, are you interested in having a nemesis that you're fighting, or is this just like a day-to-day you go in and it's almost like a Grand Theft Auto where you just want to go in and just have the powers, and if it's good and it's bad, whatever happens?
I think I would need a nemesis to get into it. Okay. Yeah. I would need someone to butt heads with.
Okay. Brad, your superpowers are what when you walk into the holodeck? Are you interested in strength, speed, or do you want sort of like X-Men sort of powers? Are you interested in maybe you use your brain? You're sort of a Batman, sort of like using your brain and your wits that way. What do we think?
Well, now see you're contaminating things with Batman here because he doesn't have superpowers.
Batman,
other than white privilege, I guess.
Exactly. Batman has it's called generational wealth. That's
right. Yeah.
Superpower is.
Sure. It's his trust fund is his superpower.
Exactly. Yes. Batman stays in Gotham because it is a very inexpensive, very low tax bracket, and it's very easy to stay rich in Gotham.
Fair.
Yes.
No, I would probably go with like telekinesis or something.
Ooh, tell me about telekinesis, Brad.
Just like moving stuff, with my mind.
Okay, so then if your power is telekinesis, your nemesis, are they also telekinesis, or are they like Brawn? So if we're thinking about it like, Xavier and Juggernaut, right? Like they're brothers. Is the person you're going against, do they match you in powers, or are they the opposite?
I'd say opposite, maybe.
Okay, so your power is in the brain. Their power is maybe in the body. Their power is maybe in the body. Maybe they're like a Lex Luthor. They don't have powers of the brain, so they have to create sort of monsters and suits and other stuff like that to try and battle you. Maybe that. Lex Luthor is still probably in the brain, though. This is not where I thought this question was going to go. I thought holodeck would be in, and now we're writing a whole show about it. So,
Kellen, you should really get some people together and just maybe put some kind of a world together that they could play in.
Yeah,
sort of like a holodeck but they're imagining it.
Like
maybe use some dice or something to randomize certain events.
Just I like that, kind of make it interesting. Have some autonomy there, but some elements of gambling where you're not really sure what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If only there was some sort of way for us to do that. Interesting.
I mean, you could invent it and become crazy rich. So you should get on that.
Maybe. Brad, thank you for answering that question. That was lovely.
You're welcome. I hope it was somewhat reasonable answer.
I always that's my problem, Brad, is all these questions are like, hypothetically speaking.
That's okay. That's fine. It just means that I'm gonna have to work at it a little bit, and that's okay. Kellen, would you like to take a bit of a test?
Brad, I would love to take a test. I love tests.
So we were talking a little bit last time about art.
And
how I don't understand a lot of it. And so I found a test, Kellen. I'm going to share my screen here.
I cannot wait to see what this test is going to be. An art test?
Yeah. Yes. Wow, it's very flashy. Hopefully
that's here we go.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So this test, it's going to be a bunch of pictures. Either it's going to be a piece of modern art that is worth real money to at least someone, or it's going to be something that a toddler drew.
Oh boy, Brad. Is there any? Gosh, can I see? I'm looking at.
I could probably zoom in a little bit more on that for you.
Boy. I'm going to say this is a piece of modern art.
Okay, so you're saying modern art. You are correct. I think we're going to get a full list at the end here of what they're actually called and everything. But what about this one? What do you think? Modern art or a toddler?
This is modern art as well. I'll tell you exactly why. A toddler wouldn't have the ability to. There are certain elements of how the brushstrokes grow that screams art school to me. So this is modern art.
All right. Correct again.
Yeah, I was going to say that's de Kooning. There we go. Here we go. This is a toddler. Again, if we're looking at the brushstrokes again, there is sort of, God, maybe it's not. Maybe this is like,
it's trickier than it should be. Even if you get a lot of them right, it's trickier than it should be.
This test is excellent, Brad. This right here, no. This is modern art again. I'm going to say this is modern art. Okay. I don't think I can.
Incorrect. That was made by a toddler. Okay. What about this one? Very bright.
The brightness makes me think toddler, but I think this is also modern art based on sort of the sort of etch lines there. But maybe I see the point you're trying to make, Brad, and I appreciate it. I'm going to say this is modern art.
Modern art. Okay. Incorrect.
Boy, toddler.
But this one.
This is modern art right here. There's no way a toddler would be able to do some of this other stuff. No. Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
This one's more colorful.
This is a toddler. I'll tell you exactly why this is a toddler.
Okay.
The color composition of this is so simplistic, and not to judge, right? If we're doing critique, it's so simplistic. The verisimilitude is so simple. You wouldn't be able to call this modern art because no gallery would want to have it there. So it's a toddler.
Correct. All right. What about this one?
I'm going to say this is modern art because of the color choices. The black and white brings your eye to a certain place. The little green in the right-hand corner is really lovely with the blue there. It's all about color composition. A toddler is not going to have the ability to see certain things this way. So I'm going to say this is modern art. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it's another de Kooning that way.
This looks like toothpaste.
This definitely looks like toothpaste. This definitely looks like toothpaste. And just for the record, everyone, all of this is art.
I mean, sure.
It's
Even if a
all
toddler,
art.
it's still art. It's just a toddler.
It's
drew.
still art. Absolutely. This is a toddler to this. I'm going to say a toddler to this.
Toddler, okay.
Yes.
Correct. All right.
This is modern art.
Any particular reason why you would say that?
Again, it's all about composition. The sort of negative space and the negative space in the sort of top left-hand corner, kind of naturally our brains being in the West will want to go to the left and we read towards the right. So the fact that we have this negative space in the top left and then in the bottom right we have sort of that darker brown, the fact that all the action is kind of going a certain way, there's just some compositional things art-wise that you wouldn't necessarily see a toddler be able to consciously be able to do.
All right. Correct. All right. You're doing pretty good so far.
Thank you. It's, again, my liberal arts degree and also
Sure.
spending enough time in galleries. This is a toddler's action right here. This is definitely a toddler.
Okay.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah.
Ooh, see, this is tough. That's
some finger painting toddler action.
Finger painting stuff, right?
Or
no,
is it?
This is a toddler. This is a toddler. And I think despite the fact that, again, I've been talking a little bit about negative space, talking about color composition, there is something there's something really playful about this that I don't think a quote unquote modern artist would naturally be able to do. So I'm going to say toddler. There we go. Very good.
This one was done by Hector, I assume. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
How that goes. Or Ares, possibly.
Or Ares. No, yeah, I was going to say, when I saw Ares and Hector,
Artemis.
Yeah.
All kinds in there.
Yeah, this is modern art. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Ooh.
Looks a little bit like my front yard right now, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Brad, I don't think I have a natural reaction. The thing about this that makes me think that it's modern art is the sort of the texturalness of it. When you see the sort of the angles kind of coming in this way, but then you see those sort of wavy lines, the shadows. I think this is modern art versus a toddler.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct again.
Toddler again. All of the paintings that I feel like are really pretty in terms of their color composition are all toddler so far.
that's an interesting observation.
Yeah,
you're correct. Yeah.
Again, if we're thinking about color composition, this painting is not enjoyable to potentially look at, right? When we think about the sort of soft colors on the right, the hard colors kind of going through the middle, the chaos of that sort of yellow burst right there. This is 100% modern art.
Nope.
Wow.
Toddler.
Oh man. I really, that kid needs to talk to a therapist. That's it.
This could have come directly off my fridge.
Yeah.
I have a 5-year-old.
I'm gonna also say toddler here. Yeah.
This is very squiggly.
Very squiggly, and I think we naturally think, oh, squiggly must mean simple. This is modern art, based on the sort of, again, that sort of layering of the textures, the sort of, I don't think a child would know to have a black sort of background and then take a white line and kind of draw it on top of that. There's too much action, I believe, going on in this painting. Yep. What's so tough about some of this, Brad, is so much of this abstract modern art is about scale. Like, when you see a Rothko, Rothko makes these amazing paintings. I'm surprised we haven't seen one so far that are just like one wall of color, but it's so enormous. You understand why we call it quote unquote modern art, because it's such a different sort of feel versus when it's like, it's a little postcard. It's hard to sort of conceptualize. I'm going to say this is modern art here. Again, based on the structure, the sort of the way in which that the sort of orange kind of dances with the gold, the sort of layering on that. I'm going to say this is modern. Yeah. You get the cooning.
Cooning. Lots of cooning in here. Okay.
Yeah.
This is ketchup and mustard. And
yeah, it feels
else.
very ketchup and mustardy. But again, it's if we're looking at the way that those circles, those action lines, olive on the left-hand side, all of that space that's there, the blue on the right, this is modern. Yeah. Oh boy, this is tough, man.
That's a give me all of the crayons.
Yeah, I want the whole box.
Give me that whole box.
The whole box. It's really pretty, honestly. I mean, I like what it is, no matter what it is. But I think this is modern art as well. I don't think, especially because it seems like all of the motions seem to happen the same way. I don't think a toddler would know how to stop in the middle and sort of create this sort of negative space there.
Yeah.
There we go.
You got it. 85%.
There we go. Hey, that was really fun, Brad. Oh, Brad. That was really, really fun. I would love to. You know what, Brad? I think I know what I'm going to do next week. I'm going to find some of my favorite, not my famous. Some of my favorite.
Wait a second, you are famous.
I'm going to find some of my favorite pieces of modern and contemporary art, and I'm gonna show them to you, and I'm going to kind of walk you through some things. I
like that plan, but just for the sake of full disclosure, I got 12 when I went through it. Yeah. Which is close enough to random, essentially.
I think that's great, Brad. I think that's great. I think that's so tough because it's like modern art, specifically when we think about abstract art that way. There is sort of a certain style that is where modern art is a departure from form. And so the easiest way to get from a complete departure from form is to recapture and to reappropriate childlike sort of, actions that way, right? And it's also very easy for us to say, oh man, my kid could do that. But like when you really break down what's going on, a kid, the way that it was put to me so perfectly is, as a kid wouldn't know when to stop, right? When a toddler paints or when a toddler draws, they don't stop, and you'll have a perfect picture, and then the toddler goes, nope, and then they just keep going and keep going. So that's the difference, I think, that way. So boy, that was really fun, Brad.
Well, glad you enjoyed that.
Oh my gosh.
I thought it might be interesting after last week's
art
talk.
That was lovely. Brad, I've got another question for you.
Okay.
Would you let's continue this concept. Let's talk a little bit about art. Let's talk a little bit about art right here.
Sure.
Brad, what benefit does art provide society? And does art hurt society in any way? And we're not going to say art is in capital A art. I think we can take artisanship of television and entertainment, video games, music, all of this stuff like that. What benefits does art provide society, and does art hurt society in any way?
I would say entertainment is a big benefit of a lot of types of art. Seeing things from other perspectives that you wouldn't otherwise have access to or have a reason to experience.
Yeah.
Which is good, to get people thinking in different ways and remove some of that Batman level privilege from people, So there's lots of good things that art would do for the world. Could it damage the world? I mean,
does art hurt society? Not the individual, but the society. That's what I think is really interesting.
I would say no. It in individual cases, like maybe in like weird edge cases, like if someone sees a TV show that affects them like hyper negatively somehow or something, like there potentially could be negative on an individual, but on the whole, I would say art is probably good.
Brad, do you think that music is art? Do you think there's artisanship that goes into music? But
sure.
Okay.
I think at the bare minimum, music can be art. I don't know if all music is art, but
okay. What makes something art then, Brad? Because that is a bigger question, and I like this question. What makes something entertainment, and then when does it become art?
Yeah, I don't know if I would separate those things.
Okay, so there's not a separation or is it more like a spectrum where it's like Nickelback is entertainment and who's on the art side for you, Brad?
Okay, so I would say Nickelback is entertainment, which is a subset of art.
Yes.
So you have art, and entertainment is like part of that.
Yeah, so we're making the Venn diagram.
And then a different part of art would be something like a modern art exhibit or something that gets somebody to think, but isn't necessarily built like just to passively observe as entertainment. If that makes any sort of sense.
Absolutely. I think we have to kind of distinguish that idea of there is art for entertainment's sake, and then there is art for art's sake, right? There is art that is here to entertain us. You can watch a movie and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe how all these people came together and they made this amazing thing." There's so much artisanship. It's so beautiful. I feel the same way about it. But it is, again, it's a movie. You're there to eat popcorn and drink some Dr. Pepper. Art in school could possibly be watching Tool as they perform.
Yeah, I would say there's probably a lot of art in music, but like I don't necessarily know if I would put Nickelback and sort of very constructed, like purposefully constructed for mass consumption music very often in the art category.
Okay. Well,
it's sort of impersonal in a weird way that like removes the art for me in a lot of ways.
Well, let me play opposite to this then. What about if we're talking about a band? What if there was a band, Brad? Let's say there's 4 men who want to play rock and roll. Sure. But there's a lot of rock and roll already. And you know what they decide to do? They decide to take on alter egos, right? Sure. One of them decides he's going to paint a star on his face and he's from a different world. Another one's going to dress up like a kitty cat because he feels like he's an animal. Another one is just going to have sort of a two-tone face, and another one's going to be a demon. And this group gets together. They wear white face makeup, the big hair, they wear their leathers, they play rock and roll music. And it is for mass consumption.
Sure.
But the band is there to perform and to go beyond the expectation of this is just rock and roll. Is that art because they are going beyond the regular expectation?
I would say sure. Yeah, I would call that. They're putting effort into part of it that they would not necessarily need to for the mass consumption because they think it's more fun or more interesting or whatever their reasons might be. They could all be different. But yeah, they're going above and beyond the purposeful mass consumption aspect of it.
And to Nick, yes, they would party every day, Nick. Thank you very much.
I see at least some art in the WWE. There's a lot of storytelling in there. There's a lot of, I'm not super into it, but like I get like why people get sucked into it. It can be very interesting. And
I think you have to look at the history of the WWE. You got to think about the idea of these guys being like vaudeville stars, like traveling around, like this idea of like to be able to learn how to talk on the mic that way. It is great. I think we look at the WWE today and we look at it as this like lowest common denominator of like sort of trash entertainment. These guys are smart and entertaining. They're writing their own things. They are more physically fit than most professional athletes because they got to perform every single day. It's great. Absolutely great.
Sorry, I could have sworn we were talking about the Beatles. I don't know what Nick
We're not talking about the Beatles. We were unfortunately not talking about the Beatles. No, we were talking about Detroit's Knights in Satan's Service, also known as KISS.
Ah, sure. Yes.
No,
I got it.
So let's then talk about, let's just expand it a little bit further. Obviously movies, we regale as very, very arty, right?
I mean, a lot of the time, at least. Sure,
a lot of times.
Definitely can be, let's say.
But Brad, you and I love terrible movies.
It's true.
And in fact, sometimes the more terrible it is, the more pleasure I get from it, even watching a very well done artsy movie.
Absolutely.
So is there any difference between Wes Anderson making a movie and Three Ninjas?
Three Ninjas is great.
It is great.
I mean, it depends. I think for me, at least, a lot of it depends on the reason why they're making the choices that they're making.
The reason they're making the choices. Okay.
Like Wes Anderson, like probably because he'll make his movies as weird as fuck as he wants, and
He wants to, yeah, absolutely.
he's big enough now that basically he can just do whatever he wants, and he does. And
does.
so a lot of his movies are super weird, and I think that's interesting. And even the ones that I don't enjoy all that much, like I kind of get why people like it, and I see the art of it. But, like,
yeah, it's almost like you have to appreciate the fact that he's making a choice, right? That's what makes it art. You're like, well, I don't necessarily enjoy this movie, but I made a choice, and that was better than, I don't know, making Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right?
Right. It's like the problem that a lot of smaller directors, writers, whatever, have when they get their big deal. They have a lot more studio interference, and then their first big break isn't nearly as interesting as some of the other stuff that they've done that didn't have a budget or, had really bad effects or whatever, because they have choices pushed on them rather than getting to make all the choices, and it sort of ruins the art of that project.
Brad, do you have, since we talked about him, do you have a favorite Wes Anderson film and then a least favorite Wes Anderson film?
Favorite Wes Anderson film? I gotta pull up the list here because my brain isn't going to give me all of the.
Do you at least know what movies of his you don't enjoy?
Not a fan of the Fox one.
Yeah.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. It just doesn't have the same sort of zip to it, right? There's something about the performances in his movies that movie's fun. It's not bad. It's just not as good as the rest.
Yeah, probably like Life Aquatic might be my favorite of the bunch.
That's my favorite. I think as white men, you go through different Wes Anderson phases.
Sure, that's probably true. If you'd asked me a long time ago, it probably would be different.
You'd be like, "Oh, it's Rushmore," and then you would say, sure. "Oh no, it's Tenenbaums," and now you're in your Life Aquatic phase. Yes.
Sure. Another 20 years, it'll be Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yes. Good stuff, Brett. That was a good question. Thank you so much for answering that question for me.
Of course, anytime. See now, okay, do you want to go silly or somewhat serious?
I'll go somewhat serious, unless you got like a super softball silly question. I don't know.
I mean, I kind of do.
Let's hear it. Let's hear the silly question.
I know that you at least understand the existence of Reddit.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Reddit. Yes,
and so it's been several weeks now, and we haven't asked the absolute classic Reddit AMA question. So I'm going to do it to you before you can do it to me.
Okay, thank you.
Helen, would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
I love this question so much. I would rather face one horse-sized duck. Let me tell you why. It's 1,000 or it's 100?
100.
100. 100 of anything, Brad, is terrifying.
It's true.
100 humans is terrifying. 100 ducks that are the size of horses? No.
Other way around. That would be terrifying. Holy shit.
I would love to see a giant duck. I think that would be so fun.
Fair.
And even if I died to that giant duck, boy, it would be fun, right?
That would be like on your headstone. Killed by a giant duck. Discovered and then murdered by a giant duck.
I would love that. I think that is, to me, the greater of the two challenges, because I know 100 of me versus anything, there's no way I'm going to survive. You're going to get overwhelmed by it. So I'll take the giant duck, because then if I even let's say I befriend it, guess what? I got a giant duck friend now, and we go and hang out in the pond. And how great would that be?
That's fair. That would be great, like a Clifford the Big Red Dog situation, but with a giant duck. That'd be great.
Giant duck, right? What about you, Brad?
Disturbing that giant corkscrew penis would be, though.
Exactly. I was thinking
they're connected. be horrified. Ugh. I think if it were me, it would be highly situational. If it was outside, like out in the open, I would probably be with you. I would do one big ass duck. If I was somewhere where I could like funnel them in through a doorway or something, I mean, horses are a problem because their legs are powerful, right? But if they're tiny, you can just kick them and crush them. Their legs are fairly flimsy. You could just break them. It's the crowd that you have to worry about.
Yeah, it's the zombie mob effect of a bunch of horses mobbing you, because the problem is those horses' teeth are still going to be chompers, right? They're still going to.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It would be a problem for sure. Either way,
it would be a problem.
But I think I would probably be with you. I would go for the one giant duck.
Yeah. Let me. This is one of my favorite internet questions, and I think this it says a lot about a person. So it's a hypothetical, unfortunately, Brad. So you're gonna have to.
I'll deal with it.
Okay.
That's fine.
Brad, you wake up in a room with a perfect clone of yourself.
Okay.
Only one of you can leave the room. What happens? Here's the thing. Nobody knows what happens in the room. Nobody knows what happens. Nobody knows what goes on. All that happens is only one of you can leave the room.
Okay. So literally completely empty room.
Empty room. It's just you.
It's boiled down to a simple choice. What do me and my clone do to decide who leaves?
Yes. Because I've asked this question to people and I've heard some very interesting answers.
You know what? I don't know if this is going to sound super weird, but I would probably just play rock, paper, scissors with myself.
Right?
Until one of us lost.
And then be like, you were the new version, or I am, and say, I'm very, very sorry. Right?
Just, if we can't tell who's the original, whatever, it's just, okay, it's random. Mm-hmm. Whatever, rock, paper, scissors until randomness makes one of us lose.
I've heard somebody say I would try and kill my clone. The best answer I heard was, first thing I would do is I would fuck my clone, and then I would try and kill my clone. And I said, that is very telling about who you are as a person.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's an interesting choice for sure.
It is an interesting choice. Because again, there's no like, it's you and a weapon. It's just, no, it's the two of you in a room and only one of you can leave. And anything that happens in that room, nobody knows. You could say, we're going to stay in this room until we figure it out. You could do whatever, but yeah. I like that. It's a fun party question, right? It's a fun, it is. With a bunch of people, you get to see other people react. With a bunch of couples, one person says one thing in the couple, the other person says the other, and there's going to be tension between them the rest of the night.
Right.
Yeah,
for me, it would just be absolutely the simplest randomized thing. Just get it over with. I'm not going to fight myself because I know I'm too evenly matched. There's not a lot of flexibility in the variables.
Exactly. That's what's so interesting. It's like you are perfectly evenly matched. You know that all of your strengths and all of your weaknesses are there. So there's not like an advantage like, this is your evil version, or maybe you're the evil version. It's just like, nope, it's a perfect clone. It's good times.
So, yeah, I would just be very simple about it probably.
Yeah.
And if it's a perfect clone, the other one would be reasonable to that, so that would probably work out fine.
Okay. Well, that was a freebie, so I'll throw another one at you.
Okay.
Brad, and this is from the late great James Lipton in his Inside Their Actor Studio questions.
Okay.
I'd like to give credit where credit's due.
Sure.
Brad, what sound or noise do you love?
Sound or noise?
What sound or noise do you love?
I mean, sort of cheesy, but laughter.
Right? Okay.
Is a sound that I love.
You love,
especially if I help create it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, not necessarily, but it's better if I help create it.
It's much, much better if you get to create it. Yeah.
I mean, orgasming women, always fun.
There you go.
To listen to.
Yes. I mean, orgasm
again. if I help create it, even better.
It's even better, right? It's even better if you're having to have any part in that. Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. Just sounds of pleasure, I guess, is my thing.
Sounds of pleasure, Brad. That's wonderful. Brad, are there any sounds or noises that you hate?
Grinding teeth.
Grinding teeth. Really?
I really like chewing of most kinds.
Do you have?
I'm not quite to mesophobia.
Okay.
Mesophobia.
Misophonia. Yes.
But it's not great. I don't enjoy it.
Don't enjoy it. And you've got a little kid, and little kids don't know how to eat.
No, he does not. But I do have headphones, and so it's okay. Even without headphones, my glasses can pump enough sound through bone conduction.
Oh, good.
It sort of masks all of that kind
there
of
you
stuff.
go.
Okay.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
Oh, the squeaking of a balloon. Yeah, that's a rough one. That's a rough one too, for
that's
sure.
A visceral reaction from me. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
There's some of that around here too, at least a few times a year, birthdays and whatnot. I mean, sure, that too, but that's a lot of sounds all kind of put together.
Yeah. You don't have that problem. Your child doesn't have anyone to argue or whine against, right?
I mean, he's actually not too bad. He doesn't whine or complain.
But when that's the problem is both Hannah and Michelle, they both have children that are a little closer, so they argue with each other. So you're like, it's like having little underdeveloped humans fight, and you're like, God, damn it.
That is rough when I visit my sister and her kids are fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
What about you? I saw you viscerally react to the balloon.
Balloons. I worked in a party store in high school, and not in high school, in college. I worked in a party store in college right around 2000, I remember this is my 9/11 story, Brad. Here we go.
Oh yeah, great.
I woke up on September 11th. I saw the news. My brother was in South Africa. My dad was in California. My mom was like, the world's going to change. I can't believe what's going on. And I was like, oh shit. I checked school. There's no school. And then my boss, who's this terrible woman who had tattooed on makeup, who's just this mean, just terrible in so many ways. This lady named Vicky. She calls me and she says, I need you in the store today. I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean you need me in the store? She's like, Kellen, we're going to sell so many flags and we're going to sell so many balloons today. I need you here filling up balloons.
Yikes.
And I spent the day selling American flags and balloons to people. And at the end of the day, I put in my 2 weeks and then I never showed up at that job again.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's a rough one.
It was a rough one. And I remember like a summer of just filling up balloons constantly and doing that. It's just, ugh. I don't mind balloon sounds, but it's just like, it's gross. It's all right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's harsh.
It's a harsh one. It's a harsh one. You got a question for me?
Yeah, maybe let's switch gears just a little bit. Kellen, what is your favorite conspiracy theory? Or do you have a favorite conspiracy theory?
Now,
or even better, one that you believe?
I like conspiracy theories. I do not believe them. All right.
I expected as much. Yes. I thought that you might have some favorites.
Yes. I love the idea that there are lizard people. This idea that there are a race of lizard beings that live on our planet who have a secret base under Denver International Airport and that they control all of the things. There's so much coded racism as well of like, oh, there's lizard people who control all the banks, right? It's like,
right.
Okay. I just think it is so funny. I was actually talking to a friend of mine today about cognitive dissonance and this idea that it is easier for people to accept that, Hillary Clinton has like a child sex trafficking and that the earth is flat and that COVID is a hoax. It's so much easier for us to accept all of those things than to accept the fact that the world is burning. There is so much wealth disparaging, and that like racial and economic inequality have never been worse in the history of the entire human race, right? It is easier for us to believe that there are lizard people and that the earth is flat than to accept the reality of where we are today. And I just think that is absolutely fascinating.
It's pretty bonkers and interesting.
Yeah. I remember I went through a phase of the whole like 9/11 was an inside job. I had some engineer friends in college who were like, "No way, man. No. There's no way it could happen. No, it was totally an inside job." And I remember for a little while not believing it, just being fascinated with the amount of scientific thought that went into people trying to prove that it was all inside, that it was all part of this larger government conspiracy. I just think that is crazy.
That was a very sciencey one, though. There was literal scientific papers written on like how steel burns and things like. They were really trying.
They were really trying.
To sell that one. It's bonkers.
I actually have a sweater. One of my favorites, and it's not connected to me in any emotionally way, but I love hearing about it, that that Kubrick filmed and faked the moon landing.
Oh, sure.
I love that conspiracy theory, and that The Shining is his admittance to doing it. That The Shining, of like all of the imagery of The Shining, is all about him saying, "Nope, the reason why it took me 4 years to make this movie is because I was filming and faking the moon landing, and now this is me admitting to all of it." And I just think that is so funny, but I can't say that it's a favorite because it's a generational thing. I don't think I can have any connection to that though. But those are
my favorite part of moon landing deniers, though, is getting to mock them for believing in the moon.
Yes, that's the best. Yes.
Oh, moon landing is fake. You know that. You believe in the moon?
You believe in the moon?
Crazy.
What are you talking? You believe the moon is real?
That's my favorite thing. I've managed to do it like 4 or 5 times now.
That's good, Brad. That's really, really good.
It's always great.
Yeah.
It never goes well, but it's always hilarious.
I think and Brad, this is going to hint at another conversation you and I will have probably at another time. I think probably my all-time, the closest conspiracy theory that I have is that there was a man named Jesus of Nazareth, and that somehow he was sort of murdered by Romans, and then suddenly an entire cult was formed sort of around him. That he was the conspiracy theory that he was in fact, a god. I think that's a very interesting conspiracy theory.
I've heard of that guy. Yeah.
I
think I read one of his books.
Yeah, the books about him, they end really.
It's more like a biography, I guess.
Or a biography, right?
Yeah,
and there's the problem with it, especially with the Jesus guy. There's so many different takes, right? It's tough. But I would love to talk about this Jesus guy with you sometime.
Absolutely, we could definitely do that. I have a lot of background talking about that guy.
Yes, as we are both recovering Catholics, I believe we also have the ability and the right to talk about it.
Sure.
Yes.
It definitely will still piss people off.
But, absolutely.
Hey,
you know what? Brad, and it's okay if you don't have one. Not a lot of people have. Brad, who's your favorite serial killer?
My favorite serial?
Do you have a favorite serial killer, Brad?
A favorite? How that's a hard thing to define. I wouldn't say that I am a fan of any serial killers per se.
That's a political choice you're saying.
As far as like ones that I find most interesting or something like
Sure.
that.
Maybe there was a serial killer, a story. I actually don't know a lot about Canadian serial killers. I know Canada has more female serial killers than America, which
equal opportunity.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe like as far as like interesting, weird sort of stories, maybe the Zodiac Killer.
Zodiac's got to be up there, right?
AKA Ted Cruz.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. I'm glad we both know. We know. We know.
Even though that would be he would have been very young, but
very young. Very young. And also Ted Cruz, why go into politics after that? Why?
It's very strange.
Yes. That's a great conspiracy theory right there.
That's a weird one for me. Like, how would that even work? I don't get it.
It's just the thing that trolled Ted Cruz, which I am 100% on board with.
Sure. I'm definitely in that camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably as far as like weird things, the Zodiac Killer with all the weird messaging and just it made it for a fun story.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think there's also, and again, Brad, there's something about us as contemporary people where there's not a lot of serial killers anymore. It's pretty hard to be a serial killer right now, right? Like it's not 1970s, great time if you're interested in murdering random people, right?
Sure. Right now, you're either going to get caught or you're real good at it, and we don't know about you.
Yes. And there's, you still have guys like Golden State Killer who, recently got caught. There's plenty of serial killers still out there. They're just not getting caught. But that's what's so interesting about Zodiac is there is someone who is like taunting, both the police and the news and everything else. And there is this sort of, I hate to use this word, but there's a mystique to it that is really hard not to get wrapped up in it, right? It's really hard not to be like, ooh, what is this? What is this? And it'd be like, people are getting murdered. Let's not look at this. What are we doing?
It's tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything with a fun story like that is going to be more interesting to me, and the puzzle elements to it, sort of catch my brain in a weird way. Yeah, serial killers can be interesting, but as someone with a lot of emotional distance issues and borderline psychopathy, I don't tend to look into them very deeply.
Because you're like, oh, I see where they messed up. They should have done this, this, and this.
There's a little bit of that. And then I have that feedback loop of, oh no, that's not a good. I shouldn't be doing that's a bad train of thought to go down. Let's not do that.
I got to get my How to Be Human book.
Exactly. That's so I don't tend to focus on that stuff very much for personal reasons.
Absolutely. I really like historical serial killers, like hearing about people around the turn of the century. Obviously, living here in Chicago, there are so many great stories about people who were opportunists who said, you know what? The city of Chicago just burned down. You know what would be really, really fun is to build a hotel where I can murder people in it. That would be really, really great. There is something really perverse about all of that and having no connection to it at all, having zero emotional connection to it. It is just very, very fascinating to read about.
Oh, absolutely.
Brad?
It gets a little bit under my skin in that it doesn't bother me. So I don't look into it too much.
Brad, I have another easy question for you.
Excellent. Okay, sure.
Brad, what is your favorite word?
My favorite.
What is your favorite word?
Do I have a favorite?
Do you have a favorite word, Brad? It can be a curse word. It can be anything, right? Brad, do you have a least favorite word? Is there a word that you hear that you're like, ugh?
I don't generally think I have much of an emotional reaction to words on their own in general.
Interesting.
It needs context for me to care one way or another. I don't know. Let's say my favorite word is moist, just to aggravate the 20% of people that hate
it. It's an excellent. It's an excellent favorite word. Anna's favorite word, if we could throw that up there, that is.
As soon as it shows up here.
It's not showing up.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit lagged, I think. Oh, here we go. I mean,
excellent.
Hey,
excellent. Anna, excuse me, not Anna. Anna.
She's gonna get you.
She's gonna get
be a serial killer.
I actually asked her that. I said, "Is it Anna or Anna?" She's like, "It's Anna, Anna Banana." And I was like, "Sure. It's Anna," because I happen to speak with a Baruch accent most of the time. Oh goodness.
What about you? Favorite word?
I like the word bureau. I like bureau. I just think the way that bureau sounds, I don't think I've ever been around a bureau. There's just something, I think there's something about saying certain words that actually sound and feel really nice.
It's a very woody word, to use a Monty Python.
Yes, it's very woody. My least favorite word. I need to answer these questions. I'm gonna have to answer this for these. I don't know if I have a least favorite word. Excuse me. There we go.
Okay.
Here we go. That's it. You got one? What you got?
I assume you've heard of Peter Piper. He picked some pickled peppers at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know how many pickled peppers Peter Piper picked?
Peter Piper picked a pickle. All right. Peter Piper picked a pick.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
So how much is a peck? How many peppers did Peter Piper pick? Peter Piper picked a peck or pick a peck. Peter Piper picked a pick. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Yes.
So how many is a peck? A peck is 20.
A peck is about 2 gallons.
2 gallons of pickles.
Of peppers.
Of peppers, excuse me.
So if you assume they're bell peppers, because it's not clear.
Not clear.
From the thing. But if you assume bell peppers, that would mean it's approximately 32 peppers.
Hold on one second, Brad. Maybe there's a Canadian thing that I'm not aware of. How often are you eating pickled bell peppers?
I mean, not how often are you pickling peppers at all?
Brad, I live in Chicago. The town is built on pickled peppers. That's all it is.
What kind of peppers? We can figure out how many peppers.
Sports peppers. So this would be a much smaller. Again, when we're talking about a Chicago dog, you got to put those sports peppers on there. So that's probably about, I'd say about 1 inch to 1.25 inches, probably 2 gallons. That's a lot of pickled peppers.
Okay, they're much smaller than your typical bell pepper.
Much smaller, right? A bell pepper probably could fit about 20, maybe 15 pickled peppers. Serranos there.
Yeah, so we're talking hundreds and hundreds.
We're talking hundreds.
Sports peppers.
A peck is 2 gallons. Huh?
Yeah, a peck is about 2 gallons.
Bushel and a peck and a hug around the neck. Gosh, Nick, you are so good. There you go.
Yep. There you go. I just thought that was silly that there was a legit answer to that.
That's a little silly, right? But that's the same thing as like how many chucks would a woodchuck chuck, right? You're like, all right, well, what is in a chuck? Well, a chuck is actually, 2 bushels of sticks. All right, well, how much is a stick? How much is in a bushel? Well, you got to, if you're in the North Atlantic, then a bushel is going to be, I love it.
I don't know. I just thought that was a silly thing.
I got a big one for you, Brad.
Okay, hit me.
Brad, this is up there with what are ghosts?
Okay, good.
Brad.
Why are ghosts? It's the next step.
No. But there's going to be some ghosts afterwards. Brad, okay. In your opinion, how will humanity end? I said it was big, Brad. I said it was big. I didn't say, hey, let's have a little conversation about the end of humanity.
Sure. I mean, there's a couple of options. Clearly, I mean, we just kill ourselves off. That's or we destroy the planet enough that it's just not survivable for enough people to sustain a society.
Sure. But I mean, mammals are resilient. There's been plenty of apocalyptic situations that have wiped out most of the life here on planet Earth. And
sure, I mean, eventually, if we make it a few billion years, I mean, the sun's going to explode. That'll be a rough one.
The sun going out. This not even the sun exploding, just the sun cooling a little bit. That's because we're in that Goldilocks. Literally, the sun cools like 10 degrees, and we are gone.
Sure, but by then, maybe it won't matter. We'll be able to compensate for that,
right?
Percentage. Once it blows up, I think it'll be a little trickier.
It will be.
But maybe we'll just have spread throughout the galaxy already.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
Or we'll just have digitized ourselves and shot digital versions of humanity all over space.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun, right?
There's all kinds of weird options, but I don't know what's going to actually come to pass.
So here's my next question for you, Brad, and then we're on both ends of this. Brad,
okay.
Speaking of an entire kingdom of animals ceasing to be, Brad, what are your top 5 favorite dinosaurs? Top 5 favorite dinosaurs. You got a 5-year-old boy in your house. If you're not talking about dinosaurs, I don't know what you're talking about with that kid.
We do occasionally talk about dinosaurs. It has happened. Not too much. More Minecraft creatures.
I was going to say, what dinosaurs is he playing with them?
Oh man, top 5.
Top 5. Let's start with number 5. What's on that list at the bottom? What's that dinosaur?
Probably pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl, excellent.
Classic flying.
Classic.
Thing, not super interesting, but just a classic. Good scream, theoretically.
Absolutely.
We don't know.
I mean, we
don't know what it sounds like. Theoretically, the scream that people have made up is cool.
Yeah.
What are those little tiny ass
dinosaurs? Check it out, Brad. Google little tiny ass.
Little tiny ass dinosaurs. I said a little tiny ass dino, and it auto completed dinosaurs for me.
You did good, Google. You did good tonight.
Okay, the first result is some book about, or it's a Jurassic Park toy.
Oh.
On Amazon. It's like a review. These tiny ass dinosaurs.
Fucking Bezos and his SEO.
That's not going to give me the name of dinosaurs.
We want a toy. We don't want to buy it. We just want to know.
What is that dinosaur called? Can't remember. That's why I can't remember, because it's almost unpronounceable. Compsognathus.
Compsognathus.
All right. Little like 1 meter little guys.
Nick, that's a really good dinosaur. Gotta love the stego. Absolutely. The Apatosaurus.
Sure. Apatosaurus is
Apatosaurus.
Good stuff. Stegosaurus, always good.
Stegosaurus is fantastic. Tiny brain, giant spikes. Gotta love it.
So now I need a list of dinosaurs.
Get a list of dinosaurs, Brad. It's worth it.
The Dino Directory. Sure, that sounds about right.
Oh, Brad, I think you froze. Are you there?
Oh, did I freeze?
I think you froze, Brad.
Oh. Do you still hear me?
I still hear you fine. You're great. But you right now, it looks like you are still just completely locked eyes with your Google search.
Okay, well, I can reset the camera here in a second while I look for my favorite dinosaur.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're really sorry. It seems like technical difficulties here. Much like Jurassic Park, we did not say the magic word, and Brad is back. Welcome back.
There we go. Perfect.
Brad, do you have a number 1 favorite dinosaur?
number one favorite is probably Raptors,
Raptor.
Velociraptor. I mean,
Kinda like
that's a boring answer, but
not a boring answer. But what's interesting is when we think about raptors, we think about the real raptors were like tiny little chickens.
Small little psychotic chickens. Yeah,
Absolutely. Gotta love a little
But,
psychotic chicken that way.
Yeah, with a giant claw.
Yeah. All right. So here's the next. So we're thinking about dinosaurs. They ended. Brad, what is your favorite planet in our solar system?
Favorite planet?
Favorite planet? What's your favorite planet? If you say Earth,
outside of Earth,
say Earth, we're done.
No. Can't say Pluto either. Not a planet. It's
not a planet. Hope maybe one day. Planet
maybe someday.
Come back, Pluto.
I'd probably say. I mean, I want to say like one of the moons of Saturn. Like not even a planet, but
you want to say like Europa?
Titan?
Yeah, Europa's pretty cool. Yeah,
Europa would be fun.
Yeah,
but an actual planet, like probably Mars, because
Mars is great, right? Solid. Can't go wrong with Mars.
Yeah.
So much history.
There's a tiny chance that there'll be rocket ships going there on a one-way trip before I die,
which is very exciting, right?
Yeah. Probably not going to be like a very livable situation or a commute. But as a one-way trip, it might happen.
I mean, I think people got to remember when people came across Europe to try and figure out whatever the fuck we're living on, it was the same as going to Mars. It was the exact same thing as going to Mars. And it was like, well, I maybe we'll figure it out. Who knows?
At least with Mars, we'll theoretically have a rough plan what to do when we get there before we're sending people.
Theoretically, if the math adds up, we should be able to get
there. Whether the plan will be any good, who knows? But there will at least be one plan.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
But think of the awesome movies that it'll make.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
there was that really fun time in the 90s where there was Red Planet, and then Val Kilmer was in a movie. God, I love Val Kilmer. I have to just type in VA and it knows. It instantly knows. That's how much I look at Val Kilmer.
Excellent.
God, Val Kilmer's so good.
It really is.
What am I looking at?
Now I want to go watch Real Genius or something.
God, Real Genius is such a good movie, Brad. Doors, Kill Me, Tombstone. He's so good in Tombstone. He's so good in Island of Dr. Moreau. Talk about a weird movie, man. Island of Dr. Moreau. Red Planet. So he was in Red Planet. There was another Mars movie that came out right around Red Planet.
Was it?
It was sort of Mars? Was it Mission to Mars? No, Mission to Mars was in 2000.
Okay.
Hold on. Red Planet was in 2000 as well, so maybe it was Mission to Mars.
Okay.
There we go. With, I think, Don Cheadle? Was Don Cheadle in Mission to Mars?
I don't remember.
He was. Don Cheadle was in Mission to Mars. God, man. Young, handsome Don Cheadle. Tim Allen was in Mission. Was Tim Allen in Mission to Mars? What? No, he wasn't.
I don't remember that movie at all if Tim Allen was in it.
Gary Sinise is in that movie.
I definitely have seen it, and I clearly don't remember it at all.
Jerry O'Connell.
That I remember that part.
Brad, one night we're going to have to play Leonard Maltin, where we pick a movie and then we start at the bottom, and I just start. I'll give you the year, and I'm going to start at the bottom of the credit of actors, and then we'll see where you get in and where you can get how many names you can get before you recognize what the movie is.
Okay.
That's a fun game.
I like that plan. I'm going to be terrible at that game. It'll be great.
Well, that'll be good then. Maybe we won't play that game.
Perfect. No, that's fine. I could be bad at it and still have fun. It's great.
It'll be fun. You got a good question for us, Brad? Maybe a last one, maybe a big one. Who knows? Something.
Maybe just a little bit of an update, because I know that like you, or like me, we've both been playing Cyberpunk 2077.
We have. We absolutely have. I've been sort of weaning
playing
away playing some Hitman 3 occasionally because
Sure.
that game is very fun, especially when it's broken. But Cyberpunk is not fun when it's broken.
That's fair. I was just wondering if you had gone through more of Cyberpunk yet and gotten through it yet, because I haven't finished a first playthrough yet.
I haven't. After the first patch came out, I fired it up and I was like, I can wait on this game right now. I don't need to really play it. And I think there's something about how big it is that I'm just like, I'm not really drawn to it. And even I got Hitman just because you had recommended it in terms of being fun. I was like, oh, this is great, but I just don't. I will be perfectly honest with you, Brad. I have no interest in video games at all right now. I'm just not really drawn to them. And I think it is either the winter here in Chicago or just where I'm at in my life, or that I've been playing video games for most of the last year and it doesn't scratch the same itch. And I feel like the disappointment of Cyberpunk actually has kicked me out to say, you know what? Rather than playing video games for 2 hours, how about I read? Rather than playing video games for 2 hours, how about I just do some writing, or how about I do something else with my time that way? And I am so thankful for that, because I feel like it used to be video games as a job, or as sort of a like, well, I got to play this game because I gotta do this, right?
Sure.
Right before Oscar was born, some buddies of mine convinced me to start playing WoW, and I thought that was really great. And in the first month that he was alive, I'd be like, all right, cool, I've got 2 hours I can play. But even that game, which was really fun, just doesn't do anything for me right now, because I don't want jobs on top of jobs. And if I'm going to play a game, I guess I want to play a game that's like real, like, for lack of a better word, escaping.
Sure.
And Cyberpunk just isn't doing that because it can't. It technically cannot do that. So
that's fair. I can't wait for some of the big patches coming, because I want to get back to it, but it is very busted currently.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm kind of just, and it's really silly to think about it this way, but it's just like, oh, it's like an early access game, right? It's like Baldur's Gate 3. I played Baldur's Gate 3 for a couple hours, and I'm like, this is going to be great when this game comes out. I can't wait for this game to come out. I'm glad I paid early because I think it was really fun to see it, but I kind of don't want to invest any more emotional time into a video game that I know is broken. And that makes me feel like a very mature human, that I can say, I don't need to do this right now.
Very, very mature.
Yeah. I think when I was like younger and like here in Chicago and like professionally podcasting and talking to video game developers and like doing like a weekly podcast where I felt like I had to play games because it was a job, to be like, well, I'm not going to get paid if I don't play a video game. So I got to play a video game so I can talk about it this week. That was always like both the most fun of playing video games and also why I understand why people bounce off of video games, because they're like, no, man, this is just not fun. So what you and your son are in sort of the Minecraft phase.
Right now, it's very Minecraft heavy.
Yeah. What's that like, Brad?
It's fun. It'll be better when he can read. But it is fun. He builds. He does most of it by himself at this point.
That's great, Brad.
We're starting to slowly do a little bit of multiplayer stuff. I have a little server just set up so that he can sort of play as a sandbox, and I can jump in as a second person.
Is he playing on the Switch or is he playing on the computer?
He's playing on the Switch.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I was gonna say a 5-year-old who can use a mouse and keyboard is very impressive. Very, very.
Yeah, no, he's on the Switch and I'm on the computer. Basically,
there you go. Yeah, I've done the same thing with my son, and he's like, "All right, I don't." When I play Minecraft, I'm like, "All right, we got to get through this." And he's like, "Let's just go find some creepers and kiss them." And I'm like, "Oh, children."
Yeah, no, he's having a good time with it, though. He builds crazy things and creative. He watches other people do stuff on YouTube,
and
then he'll spend like an afternoon creating like a challenge level for me, and then I got to get through it, and it's very interesting.
That's good. Good.
It's his creative outlet right now, basically. While he can't go anywhere most of the time.
Yeah. My son went through the same sort of phase, but it was with Mario Maker, and he would make these Mario levels, and some of them were pretty challenging. Others were like, this is just chaos. This is not even challenging. This is impossible to do. But it's very cool to see kids begin to sort of understand those building blocks of like how to create something that way. So
he has done Mario Maker a little bit too, which is interesting, but not as much.
Not as much.
He'll probably get sucked back into the world of Mario on Friday when the 3D world and whatever Bowser's Fury come
out. Brad, we don't have much time left.
We don't. No.
This is also from the James Lipton stuff. His question.
Okay.
So here's my question.
James Lipton stuff.
The James Lipton stuff. Here you go. Brad, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive?
An explanation of a few key things would be great. Why are ghosts, for one?
All right.
I mean,
here we go, Brad. Why are ghosts? What is suffering?
Right. Why?
Who?
What? You know, the big questions.
Yes.
It would be very strange, first of all, if I were to come face to face with God and they were like, "You got any questions for me?" It's like, yeah, man. What the fuck?
I got a couple. Couple of these things. Explain this.
Yeah.
Explain pain.
Explain rational thought and then not being able to use that to figure out that you're a thing. It's complicated.
Yes.
It would be a mess. It would be a real awkward conversation.
I'm sure it would be. But then you would also have to say, hey, what's going on? Anna, maybe we will make this a whole episode topic, but I feel like Brad and I both have very succinct answers of like, can you explain this to me? Can you just like, I just need to understand this part. But
Sure.
Brad, maybe that's when we finally do our whole conversation about religion. Maybe that's the question we asked at the beginning, and then we work our way back. Right?
Like that sounds like a very solid plan.
Yeah.
I think it would be a very strange conversation for sure.
It probably would be. It probably would be. I feel like if we're looking at the spectrum of religion, I feel like you're much more, I wouldn't say angry, but you're much more on the why, and I'm much more on the like, yeah, but like, why?
Sure. I have a lot of how questions. Too.
How? I've got a question for you. Who the fuck do you think you are, God?
Right. God, creator of the universe, who the fuck do you think you are?
First off, how dare you?
Right.
Second, where do you get off?
Let me talk to your manager. Wait a second. That's not going to work.
It's your father. Brad, as always, this was an absolute pleasure.
That's always great.
Always great. It goes by so quick. I feel like
really does.
I do these and I'm like, it's what time is it again? It's just great. It's just so great. For anybody else here, thank you all for joining us. Anybody else who in the history of the internet, if you're watching this, we thank you for watching it. If this is not watching it live, Brad, you are a handsome, intelligent, funny, an all-around great human being, and I'm very pleased that I get to talk with you every single Wednesday. And you know,
how dare you attack me with kind words, Kellen? You know how it hurts me. This is why you're my nemesis. I use this show to understand you so that I can destroy you.
Yes. Brad, I'm a Fabergé egg. It's very easy to destroy me. It's very, very easy to destroy me.
No, it's always a good time chatting with you, Kellen.
Absolutely.
And you know, people out there, do the YouTube things. You get it.
Do it.
I'm too lazy to like constantly be like, ring the bell, do the thing.
I mean, and also at a certain point, Brad, we don't need to be harassing our friends because ultimately our friends are the ones who are here at the beginning. It's when we're like, oh, cool, there's like 1,000 people who are watching this conversation. I hope they enjoy it, you know?
Sure. The only people we really have to harass is Arby's. Where's that sponsorship, Arby's?
Sponsorship, Arby's. We're again the beef and cheddar. Oh, well, of course.
How some of those things start, isn't it?
Absolutely.
First, your frenemies.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's a bromance.
And then your lovers. I mean, that's really.
Sure. I mean, it's complicated, us both being married and all, but hey.
We can be lovers and be married. That's not.
That is true.
Yes.
That is true.
2 consenting male adults, please, Brad.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't know. I think that's about it.
I think that's it.
If anyone, has suggestions for questions or anything, I think we know everyone in the chat, so they can find us and tell us questions.
All right. Do we answer this question from Anna? Do we answer? You'll see it pop up for a second.
I'm sure it'll come up in just a second. StreamYard comments seem to be a few seconds behind a lot of the time.
Oh boy. It's amazing that YouTube's comments are faster than. I mean, I guess it starts on YouTube, so there it is. So, I feel like that question right there is a whole episode in and of itself. Is it not there yet for you, Brad? I'm very sorry.
No,
Brad. The question is hall pass. That's all it is. Hall pass.
Hall pass. Okay, yeah, I got that.
I feel like that's if we're gonna answer it, then we got to answer that with a full audience and really make sure people understand.
Sure, and I'll talk to my wife and we'll see how that works out.
You'll get her to sign off on it. Good.
I think we can work it out. It's fine.
I think sure. Again, 2 consenting adults.
Absolutely. Well, this has been great, Kellen, as usual. Yeah. Whatever this is, it was awesome.
Absolutely, Brad. Absolutely. I look forward to talking to you next week. And again, to anybody who's still here, thank you for being here. It's a delight to have you all here. And yeah, I guess that's it. You got to sign up for us, Brad. We got to figure this whole. We got everything but the end. That's the one thing we don't have.
We don't really have it. We just sort of taper off and ramble until I close the thing. I don't know. Figure out a sign off. I don't know. I'm not good at finishing things.
No, I don't want email sign-offs. Ugh.
Sincerely, Brad and Kellen.
These are terrible. Gosh, Google, you failed me tonight. You did Brad a dirty, and what are goods? No. All right. Well, we'll do better next time. How about that?
There we go. We'll do better next time.
We'll do better.
That'll be the sign-off always. We'll do better next time.
Do better next time. We'll
See
do
you
better
next week, everybody.